What's up, guys? It's Cory Talaska here, and we are back for another video, which is the start of the winter build season. I just got done with a really intensive cleaning of my garage. I still gotta like sweep up this stuff, but basically, if you kind of noticed what it looked like before in past videos, it was an absolute disaster. Now we have an incredible amount of floor space, actual flat surfaces to work on, and instead of Fergie's E30 being here, we were finally able to get that rolling, get it to where it can roll in and out of the garage, where I have the main spot again. I'm really hyped about this. I got to put the car in jack stands yet, but I got the tire machine back in the corner over here, my balancer, a bunch of tires, and then I have like my 7 toolboxes scattered throughout. So this is the start. This is the beginning. The car is going to sit here for a while, but we got some exciting stuff going on. Now, like I said in the last video pretty briefly, is that I blew this up. The S52 is blown up. I don't know to what extent. I know it's definitely something valve train just because of how it sounds and how it happened. It happened on my last run at OSW, and it was a very noticeable, like, this thing is blown up. I got it into the trailer and got it into the garage, and that was it. So, and I thought about rebuilding this, and I'm still going to rebuild it, but it's going to go into a different car. That's the plan right now. That may change. Maybe this will go back in here. But right now, the plan is to put the 2J that's on the other side of the 240 into this car. Now, the 2J is just stock bottom end, stock everything. I haven't even opened it up yet. I've had the engine for 2 years. But I'm going to pull the pan off, the head off, everything, and look at everything just to see the condition of it now. Put everything back together. I do have to like put a different sump oil pan on and all that stuff to fit with this car. And then I have a bunch of parts already from 2 years ago when I was going to swap it into. Over in my sawdust pile over here, all those boxes right there is all 2J parts, including exhaust manifold, sheet metal intake, which is really sick, the oil pan, and wiring specialties. Wiring harness, like I was going all in. So we got a bunch of stuff to do it, so it makes like this endeavor a little bit less. You know, I need like tune injectors. I need the adapter flywheel thing that goes to my 5-speed ZF. There's a couple items throughout that, and then we're also this year going to pick up, we're going to move the radiator to the back of the car, and then we're also going to do a fuel cell. We weren't going to, but we recently picked up a partnership with TJ Moore from here in North Carolina, and he's going to basically help me plumb all the lines, take care of all that for me, and so that's going to be super sick because 2Js definitely have a slight tendency to run a little bit warmer than anyone would like without a good amount of cooling. So, you know, we'll make sure to add an oil cooler and stuff like that, but that's the plan so far. So the first step to all that fun stuff is pulling the engine, so that's what we're going to do. I want y'all to know that I've had this light for 2 years. This is just like I think I got it from like Advanced Auto or something. And this is the first time I've ever actually zip tied it to my hood. And oh my God, I feel challenged that I didn't do this earlier. It makes everything so nice. Now that I got the front off, you can see the Street Faction bash bar. It's like perfect. Wait a minute. There's an extra bend in there. This whole thing, the only time this ever touched anything was when at Hyperfest at the beginning of the year when we hit Mike Perez. It's the only thing that bent it. But it literally saved, I smashed this, right? This part of the car bent in Mike Perez's cage. It literally bent in his door bar. It went into his door, bent in this. And the Street Faction bash bar looks like this. And all I had to replace was a lower shock mount and a control arm. That's good product. All right, so I got the front of the car off. I got the intake off. This is my first chance at like getting a glance inside. Let me zoom in here a little bit. Inside the actual engine a little bit. Good. Let me try to not block the camera and get light in there somehow. Still not terrible if it would focus in there. And then if you can kind of see in here, really need manual focus on. Anyway, right there, you can kind of see on the right, that is a drop valve. It is bent. It is all is very messed up. And then we're good all the way through. So right here, that's at least one of the issues in there. You really can't see it, sorry. All right, so my usual way of pulling the engine is basically taking the calipers or just unhooking the brake lines off of the front suspension, and then I just have them zip tied up right now. And then, so now the entire suspension, the lower control arm is unbolted. The only thing holding in the entire front is the front subframe connected to the chassis and the engine. So what I like to do is basically bring the engine hoist in here, just support the engine, and then put a jack underneath the subframe and unbolt the entire front like steering assembly. It would be really nice to do on a lift where you could basically support that down there, unbolt everything, and then just lift the car up off the subframe, but I don't have that capability, so I just do it kind of a reverse way. So then once that's done, then all that's holding the engine is basically the trans mount in the back. I already have the drive shaft unbolted. I just need to pop like this shift selector off the bottom of the shifter, and then everything will be ready to come forward. All right, so the engine is completely floating. The trans is being held up by a jack holding the back of it. Instead of pulling, like releasing any pressure on any of the brake lines or anything, I just pulled the slave cylinder out of the trans. It's definitely the easiest and less messy way to do it. Pulled the subframe out. Before I did that, I pulled the two suspension setups out. With the SLR, it's way easier because you just have the bolt here and the tie rod's bolted to the knuckle. So instead of trying to wedge off the stock stuff, it just unbolts. So it makes it really, really easy. Always never forget to undo your bolt on your steering shaft. The bolt's slotted, so you can't just loosen this bolt up. You actually have to pull it out because the steering shaft up there, there's a little slot in it. You can see right there that the bolt sits in. So I made that mistake the first time I pulled this a couple of years ago. So this thing's ready to come out. Engine's out. No harm done. The E36 is heartless now, but there's going to be a change of things. As you see, while I'm doing this, we got the 2J out of hibernation. This thing's been wrapped up for like a year and a half. We pulled the front sump oil pan. We drained the oil. It was thick in some spots, but it sat for a while. We cleaned all the gaskets and everything. We took like a borescope, looked inside as much as we could, and everything looks good. There's side play in all these, and everything seems alright. We might do like main seals or something. We're not sure yet. Here's the rear sump oil pan, the one that fits in the E36. So we're gonna put this bad boy in stock bottom end, and then see what we can do. Now this thing's on the ground. I'm gonna pull the trans off so I can put it on the stand. We now have about a third engine stand, so we can toss this on, and then maybe we'll look inside again. And then before I bring this to the engine shop, we'll probably pull it apart ourselves and kind of look at all the damage besides the one valve that's messed up. But we'll probably take care of the 2J first, because obviously this is not going to go back in the car. All right, so now that the whole bottom's cleaned up, so we're all good to go on that. We're going to clean up the new one, which is pretty clean. There's still a little bit of gasket residue on here and stuff. We're going to clean this all up. Obviously take the new dipstick out and stuff, and then pop it on. So you guys got to see the correct rear sump oil pan get popped on the 2J. That's chilling over here, all ready to go, as well as some new motor mounts that are really, really nice. And here's the intake and the manifold and everything. Some things coming together, but there's kind of been a little bit change of plans. So as far as what's going, not the chairs are not powering the E36, but I did drop the S52 off at the engine builder because I just wanted them to take it apart, to dive into it, and to see the depth of the damage. If the depth of the damage is something that we can kind of toss together quickly and repair, then I think the plan roughly is to maybe do that, put that in the car and run it while we do the right thing with the 2J and actually get it built. As much as we want to run this like stock bottom end because it can't handle it, there's just some things that we just don't want to risk putting a bunch of money into this and just blowing it up because of something we didn't take apart to just double check. Even though we flipped it over, you saw we looked, but so we're kind of unsure what the plan is so far for what's going to be in the car for this year. It may or may not. It's just going to depend on what my engine builder in Jacksonville tells me what's up with the S52. If he says that it's tanked and we need a lot more work, then we're going to put that money into the 2J and try to make that happen. If it's something, if it's not too much in the S52, then we're probably just going to toss that back in. So, but overall, that's pretty much what's going on. It's nothing crazy. Actually, it's pretty crazy. So, especially since it's already beginning of February, we definitely got to get everything figured out and then get thrown together and figure out what else we're going to do to the car. But it's happening. Work's been really crazy in my real life to try to make this 2019 season happen to the best it can. So that's where we're at right now. I'm finally got some time to where I can dive back into the car, so hopefully I can pump out some more videos, of what I'm going to be doing. So look forward to that. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your homies. I'll see you later. Peace.